While perusing Steam's front page, a game called Card City Nights caught my attention. I was intrigued by the game simply because the screenshots look similar to a minigame in Final Fantasy VIII called Triple Triad. It's a well-known fact that I judge all my games purely on how similar they look like Triple Triad, but I figured I might as well review it for common folk with no tastes who care about non-Triple Triad related things like graphics and gameplay. So, bon appetit. Card City Nights is a single-player card battle game that takes place in one of those universes where everything revolves around children's card games. It also demonstrates to me that the creators of Ludosity have worked on clearly more games than it'll do, as you'll run into cards based on a variety of their titles, including Bob Came in Pieces and Muri. After arriving in Card City, your predictable main goal is to hit up each venue on the map and collect the 8 legendary cards needed to challenge the Card King. You get some options of what areas to tackle first, but all in all it's pretty routine for a trading card video game. Some facilities that you unlock along the way include a card shop, a recycler, Jonathan Holmes, and even a card alchemy system. The game will do a better job of explaining its mechanics, but to very briefly summarize how it all works in 30 seconds, the goal of the game is to take turns until one opponent's HP is reduced to 0. Both players get a 3x3 board where they lay down cards that have directional arrows on them. Whenever you match 3 symbols or more, you get to do one of these actions based on whichever symbol is in the majority. Mostly red swords will deal damage to enemies' HP and disable 1 card in play. Mostly blue shields will heal our HP, up to a maximum of 10. Mostly green crosses will heal 1 disabled card. And circles are neutral. And time. Oh yeah, still got it. There are many different approaches to building a deck, but my main strategy was to attack the enemy cards, thus making them useless, forcing the enemy to have a full board and they would lose by technicality. There are a ton of cards in the game, and you'll be constantly encountering new ones throughout the 6-hour campaign. It does use a system in which there are cards that are blatantly weaker than others and don't offer any advantage to using them, but the game does put hard limits on uncommon and rare cards in a deck, so you can't just stack all the overpowered abilities you can into one set. I didn't have to grind either, and since you'll be seeing new cards all the time, it never really felt like it was starting to get stale. The duelists you'll face will be easy for the most part, assuming your deck is flexible enough. The only 2 enemies that presented a large challenge were the final 2 bosses. There were a few opponents in between with some clever counters, such as a ghost that relied on reviving cards, or a skater that would drain my deck size. Since I had to adjust my strategy and build for these fights is at least proof that there's no one surefire way to breeze through the game. A thing woefully missing from Card City Nights though is any sort of multiplayer component. Even if it was just local and players had to compose both decks on the same computer, it would make the pointlessness of beating this game feel a little bit less like a time waster. Considering it's a $4 indie game though, I'm not going to harp on it too much as it's probably out of the team's scope. But along with constantly upgrading my deck and getting just one more round in, its pacing kept me enticed to continue the whole game in one self-loathing sitting. Card City Nights is an entertaining diversion, and in a modern world where folks expect you to pay microtransactions for booster packs, this was quite the welcome title. And on an ending note, I'm happy to say that Card City Nights is also socially progressive. One of the player avatars fits the underrepresented, carrot wearing a fedora demographic. It gets a Euphoria out of 5.
Well, I'm a